Made with Love by Indigrow.
Hello, everyone. Today we have Kavitha Amarnath with us. She is the founder of Zubri Branding and Illustration House. She's an illustrator, author, and we can't wait to begin this conversation with you. Kavitha, thank you so much for taking
Thank
the
you
time
so
out.
much. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And it's a pleasure. And it's wonderful to see how Indigrow also does its work online. And it's very beautiful, like how you educate children, how you're coming up with so many beautiful relative topics. And it's a pleasure to watch you guys on social media and doing the right thing.
Oh, thank you so much,
Yeah.
Kavitha. So,
Kids, especially my younger one, every time he asks me a question about why this, why that, why can't I do this, why can't I do that? And then suddenly this question came up for me was like, why am I able to, why go to a prayer room to just pray for God, Then why is it that I can't? That's when it clicked and I was like, oh, maybe I should bring this topic up. Why can't I see God? To the audience. And I just thought, okay, that's the right age because he was at that age as well. And why do I need to go only to the prayer room to pray? Why can't I do it anywhere? So, how we come down with our own traditions and our values and our things. But so that's when the whole story came up. It unfolded bit by bit. Yeah, so I authored and illustrated Why Can't I See God? That was my first. Following on, I did Unfair and Lovely. The author is Malika Tope, who's in the US, and we collaborated on that, and we brainstormed a lot for that. And we also did hashtag Tangled Roots.
yeah.
Tangled Roots it's a very close to my heart because it's culturally, again, I illustrated for it, and Malika Tope authored it, and I've done books in Ramayanam in Tamil and English and Kings of Bharat as well. So yeah, so now there's no looking back, and branding I do because that's my passion as well. I love designing logos and providing visual identity for small entrepreneurs and lots of other opportunities like packaging, merchandising. I also do. Yeah, that's when Zugri came into full-fledged branding and illustration house.
Wow.
And yeah, that's been my journey so far. Yes.
So, as an illustrator, tell me something about when you look at the kind of books that you've been illustrating. Very clearly, there's a South Asian kind of bent towards the representation in your books. Is that
Mm.
something that has been deliberate on your part from an illustration perspective? What was the thought process for you over there?
Yeah. So, to be very honest out here, I love Indian folk art, and that has been inculcated. That's something that I never explored as an artist up until when I joined the Artpreneur program. That is something that my mentor exposed us completely to, and that is what I have re-engineered. There are lots of different styles that we can adapt to, but I re-engineer mainly from Indian folk art styles to, that's a way of, the kids' curiosity also, oh, why does that kid have in that book such big eyes? Oh, that big eyes comes from Bengal Patua, or something like Orissa Patachitra or Kerala mural. So that is re-engineered from those Indian art styles. And I want to find my niche there. And in the market, if you see, there's not many people who actually focus on such things. In a way, subtly, you are inculcating that Indian folk art thing to the kids as well. So, diversity in a way is also looking at our culture and so many diverse, art. So, yeah, so that's why I thought, okay, fine, let me focus more on the South Asian and re-engineer in that angle.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you talked about children's curiosity, and I think you've touched upon it a couple of times. Once with your son, when he was asking questions, and you felt the need to kind of talk about, address those questions, and that's how your first book, Why Can't I See God, came about. At the same time, when you talk about from the visual representation, and that's something that maybe we could deep dive a little further into. Your book, Why Can't I See God, is both so there are two aspects that work for it, right? One is the illustrative depiction of, there's a book itself about why can't I see God, and then you kind of take the child through everyday life,
Yes.
and
Yes.
in some ways it's also about everywhere that I can see God, uh,
Yes.
it's very beautifully illustrated in that sense of how, the child, looking at the world through the child's eyes. So what was
Yes. Yes.
can you take us through your thought process on that a little bit for us?
Yeah, it's definitely that's a journey, like, on its own, because when I was brainstorming, I had no idea where to start from. Honestly, I just took the paper and pen out. I was just scribbling because you need to get a script right, before you start illustrating, because you have no idea where you're going to start from. And when I was discussing all this with my kids, and this is where it started, so I started writing how the flow should be. Now, if I'm going to tell a child to do stuff, it's immediately like a rebel attitude, Oh, I don't want to do it right now. Whereas if I take the child or show a child how to do it, or just observation, I don't even have to take. I just felt, especially with my younger one, who is, he's always questioning, he's always questioning, and he's always on the thing that, oh, if you're going to tell me to do that, you ask me to do that, I'm never going to do it. I know he's not going to do it. Whereas he comes with the whole observation angle, and that's when it clicked to me. Instead of saying telling representing the story in a telling format, telling the story format, showing format would be better.
Yeah.
And when I started with the script, when the flow went on, I was like, yes, okay, because when you are taking the child's journey and you're telling the world through the child, through Komal is my favorite
Yeah.
character. She is just, yeah. So she's, she's like, Amma, what is this? Amma, what is that? So, and that's when you realize, yes, subtly, you are inculcating a lot of things into the child's mind. And that's when at the end of the day, the mother makes her realize, did you actually see God? Did you not see it? And she says, no, where? I couldn't see anyone. And that's when the thought process comes in. That sticks. Even with my children, that sticks. So, day to day, what we do, what we resonate with is what I wanted to bring it out.
Yeah.
And I thought, when you were talking, or in the on the social media platforms about God and why and where you could get it, I thought that was fantastic as well. So
This idea of taking the child on a journey, where they have their own observations and reflections at the end of the day, and that
yes,
at some level is what parenting is all about. It's not
yes, yes.
right. We can't.
It's a
We,
challenging journey, so you have to
yes,
be prepared.
but
Yeah.
that's all we can do. We can kind of show them the world and kind of make them make sense of their own observations and reflections, and that's where the conversation at the end of the day is so important, right? Like
Mm,
if for example Komal's mother had not touched base with Komal at the end of the day and had not
yeah,
drawn that circular reference to her, that
yeah,
Komal would have just explored the day and made her own observations without connecting it back. And
yeah,
and
I think, yeah.
so I think that something that came across strongly in your book is the role of the grown up as well.
Yes, yes. Because somewhere, I feel connecting with your child at the whatever it is, like, they just come back home from school. They want to see your presence. It doesn't matter whether you're doing something or not. It's the presence. Like, you're sitting there unwinding, just like a 2-minute thing. And before bed, we always have the story time before bed. Like, we read
Yeah.
stories or we read a book and go to bed. And yeah, we want to flow into the imagination world. Already we are imagining so many things visually. We want to get into that imagination world with books, with letters, with just words. So yeah, definitely. And I felt like I had to bring it, like, I wanted to close the loop.
Yes.
Basically, at the end of it, I wanted her to close the loop for her own self, and also the mother being satisfied. Yes, I've not demonstrated something overly, but in a way, told her like this is what it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And what has happened so beautifully through the book is that at the end of it, that Komal is now empowered, right? She's empowered because what happens is that not only does she understand it for herself, but through that interaction with her parent, she also now has the ability to explain it to her peer group, her friends, or anybody that she then has a conversation with, where
Yeah.
if the conversation, if the question pops up again, she can say, oh, if somebody says, oh, I don't believe in God, or why do you believe in God, or God is here, or God is there, she now has the tools to have that conversation and say, this is how I perceive God. And
Correct.
that empowerment again is a beautiful thing to see at the end of the journey. And that's again
Yeah.
what we want to do, because you want to equip your child with the tools to be able to navigate different conversations, because not every conversation will happen between parent and child.
Absolutely, absolutely. And not everybody will also like to open up at the end of the
Yes.
day. Like, some are tired, they just want to unwind and just but this is when my own son, my own child asked me this question, that's when, because you start to think like, oh, how am I going to reply to this? Because there's so many, it's a huge topic. It's a
Absolutely.
huge topic.
Absolutely.
And yeah, and they ask with so much innocence, right? Like, oh, why do I need to just go to the prayer room and do this? Why do I need to just do that? So yeah, so I just thought, okay, fine, let's try this journey. Yeah.
Great. So, on that note, do you have any other books that are coming out? We have talked with Malika Tope about Unfair and Lovely, and we absolutely
Yes,
have that one as well.
yes, yes.
What else is on the horizon for you that we should look
So
out for?
hashtag Tangled Roots is another one that I've illustrated, and we collaborated and worked again for that, because I felt so it started with a spark. Like, it started when we were just discussing. I wanted to see, like, there are a lot of NRIs, and whether it is in India or whether we are overseas, we all go through this identity crisis situation. But we are very mindful that we are not talking about change,
Yeah.
but change is something that happens. Change is something that happens slowly. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not possible. But at the same time, in hashtag Tangled Roots, Antara is the girl. She goes through cultural identity crisis. She's like, I don't want to do this. I want only Beyonce. I want Rihanna in my life. I want all these. I just want to be cool and happening. I don't want to see my mom in Kanchivaram sari and things like that. And, so the journey again, the journey is beautiful. She goes to Chitrapur. This is Malika's her own village as well. She goes to Chitrapur, and then she goes to her grandmom's village. And there, where her perception about a village, Indian village, is so different, but her grandmom just turns out to be this like really cool grandmom who goes for yoga classes, does pizza nights for dinner. And she's like, okay, this is actually not too bad. And she actually explores the temples,
Yeah.
every street. So that's a beautiful one as well. We decided, like, we'll get it to the audience. It has got very good response out here, especially in Australia and Sydney, when I did quite a few exhibitions out here.
Yeah.
And Ramayanam is there. That's in English, and Kings of Bharat actually, but that's in Tamil. So we are still exploring the idea of bringing it out in Tamil. We may be potentially collaborating again, Malika and myself. She's looking to, think about topics that we can bring out to the kids. Yeah, but it is a journey, and we're looking to explore a bit more and see what else we can do. Yeah.
That's amazing, and we can't wait. In the meantime, can you tell us where the viewers can find your books, and where they can reach out to you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So it's available on Amazon. It's available on Flipkart, Amazon India, Amazon Australia. It's Amazon.com as well. There's a Kindle, KDP Kindle reading as well. So there's Why Can't I See God, Unfair and Lovely, and hashtag Tangled Roots, all available on Amazon. Yeah,
Perfect.
and Flipkart. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Mhm.
much, Kavitha. It's been absolutely lovely chatting with you.
Thank
Thank
you
you so
so
much.
much. Yes, thank you. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be on this platform.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Visit us at indigrowkids.com for more.